Transportation Committee. I'm joined on my right by Councilor Nave, on my left by Councilor Majoke, Councilor Williams. We have Betsy Parmley here from the Department of Transportation, Mike Ryan, and Dave Smith. We're also joined by Joe Driscoll. Joe, you want to come up here? You can. Come on up. We'll leave Scott over there. Okay. Scott Butler's here too. So we're here to just discuss Contract 3 for the 81 construction. I will give you the floor and let you take it away.
Oh, all right. I like it right in. So thank you for having us. Again, Betsy Parmley, I-81 Project Director with New York State Department of Transportation. So we're here today to talk about Contract 3 specifically, but I want to take just a high-level look at the project for a few seconds. So this aerial just basically shows all of the work that's included in the I-81 Viaduct project. So $2.25 billion project constructed in 6 years. What you're seeing on the screen is all of the elements of work. So I don't know if this will work. Let's see. There we are. Okay, so just to kind of orientate ourselves, 481 obviously around, 81 through the center. We are currently in construction in the northern interchange, this light blue color. And we're also in construction in this green area, which is the southern interchange of where I-41 and I-81 meet. And we're here today because Contract 3, which is the Bear Street, Inner Harbor, North Clinton Street work, has been awarded to a contractor. So why are we here? In my way of saying it, it's a project work agreement with New York State Department of Transportation and the city of Syracuse, yourselves, to give us permission to essentially work on the city streets, as well as for utility agreements to be signed. In Contract 3, there is a substantial amount of utility work. We have continuously coordinated with the city of Syracuse, Joe Driscoll, his team, the mayor's team. We're very cognizant of the policies and procedures and ordinances in the city of Syracuse. So within the 81 Viaduct project, we're holding true to all those ordinances. So whether it's decorative lighting, whether it's a dig once point of view where we go in and replace water mains because we don't want to have to go back, sidewalk dimensions based on city ordinances, trees and the soil that's related to the trees, worked with the arborist. So we've been thankful for that coordination through the EIS and through the final design. So what we'll be talking about today, I'll hand it over to Mike to talk about the overview of the work in Contract 3, very specifically what's happening. I'll touch on maintenance jurisdiction, touch on community commitments, and then last but certainly not least, the community engagement. And I do want to say, any questions anyone has, feel free, just ask. We want this to be an open dialogue, so whatever questions you have.
The idea as you go along that you would be asking, making requests for a specific street to work on, or would you just want an overall umbrella of permission to?
It's an overall umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what's in front of you is all the stuff for this. So the improvements they would be covering everything. All the work for this section, the Inner Harbor area, Court, Spencer, Bear, all those bridges, and all that area around there.
I have a question. When we get to the bridges, we have to redo Spencer Street. So are we going to reroute the traffic, and how long will that bridge take to be renovated?
Sure, so Mike will talk about that a little bit. We do have to replace that, and we do have detours that we'll be showing.
Okay, so we're going to do one at a time, right?
And just another quick point for the counselors' awareness. We did run all these by, one of the things that we've often talked about with 81 is work zone traffic control, detours and everything. One of the great things that's developed is meeting regularly with fire department and the police department. And so they put in a request with NYS DOT early on to make sure we do it in stages so that it's Court that will remain open, right? We do Spencer and Bear.
Right.
And Court remains open so that we have one artery that will still remain open for traffic flow in the middle so that we don't do them all, so that's not too big of a reroute when we do it.
So they're going to interfere 81, going 81 north, when people, aren't 81? When you're heading north, when we're doing the bridge, So is traffic still going to flow, or is there going to be?
Yeah.
Yes.
Flow
Yes.
normally?
Traffic
You'll
will
still be
still
able,
flow.
yeah, you'll still be able to use that. You just have to, if you were gonna go, Spencer or Bear, you'd have to use Court for a while.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering.
But it wouldn't impact 81
Okay, so
getting on and
traffic,
off. Yeah.
so you're going to be very careful when we're doing these bridges?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
that's very
That the
important.
traffic still flows and
Okay.
you're still able to access 81.
Mike, why don't you go ahead and take us in the order that makes the most sense?
Okay.
We'll stop you if we have to.
So,
Thanks, guys.
Contract 3, the contract was awarded late spring, so it was actually awarded early May, around May 10th. We have a contractor on board. They're getting out there, looking to start work very soon. We have had some utility work going on out there in preparation of getting the contract going. So this picture is kind of is a nice overview of the Inner Harbor area. This covers or shows the replacement of Bear Street, which is the one right up here at the top, and then Court Street, and then Spencer down at the bottom. So we'll replace all three of those bridges. We're going to build a new bridge that's going to connect Bear Street to existing 81 northbound, or Business Loop in the future, northbound. We will also reconstruct a lot of city streets. So we're going to reconstruct Clinton Street, Gannett Drive, West Division Street, Spencer Street, West Kirkpatrick, and West Court Street. Under this contract, we're also going to install some new ramps from Business Loop 81 southbound to North Clinton Street, and then back from Clinton to 81 southbound. So we're in the process of creating a new interchange right here at Bear Street and consolidating all the ramps. That'll get finished up in a future contract, but we're getting half of it built right now.
Because you did say in an earlier conversation we had about Oswego Boulevard that it was going to be extended.
Yeah, that's a different phase.
Okay.
Yep, that's.
But I just mentioned because it goes into 81.
It does, yeah.
Okay.
We're going to do that in phase 2 of the project.
Okay, thank you.
So this is somewhat of a preparatory contract, and what we mean by that is we're going to replace all the bridges so they're wider, so then we come in with a future contract, and that's when we widen I-81, future Business Loop 81, and create those access points to the grid via Oswego Boulevard.
Okay.
So out here along Clinton and Gannett and some of the other streets, we're also going to install a lot of new storm drainage throughout the whole project area for the city. We're also installing a lot of new water lines throughout the project area. We're also going to install some new sewer lines. We're upgrading all of the signals along the Bear Street corridor. We're also including a system for the fire department so they can get through the signals quickly. We are also installing an LPI, which is just, with all the signals, it gives the opportunity for the pedestrian to get into the intersection prior to any of the cars, so it's a bit safer. We're also installing something called an RFB, so it's pedestrian signals. When you hit the button to cross the street, you get a flashing beacon, so cars will see you a lot easier.
What was the LPI acronym?
It's a leading pedestrian interval.
Yep. We're also installing a lot of new decorative lighting throughout the whole Inner Harbor, which is the lighting that's spelled out in the city ordinance. We're also installing a lot of, sidewalks and a shared use path. So there'll be now sidewalks all the way from Clinton up to Bear, where some of them don't exist today, and we're going to have a shared use path from along Clinton. It's going to cross Spencer and Bear Street Bridge to access the north side. We're realigning the Destiny ramp to meet Clinton Street, so there won't be that funny offset anymore, and the on-ramp won't be necessary from Gannett to get to Business Loop 81 since we're building the new ramp, so that'll go away as well. So to your question about the detour routes, so that's what's up here now. So the first season, we're going to do Bear Street and Spencer Street. So you can see the green lines, they denote how we're going to detour traffic. So everybody's just going to go across the Bear Street Bridge. So, and we did work very closely with City Fire Department, because one of the things that they asked was don't close any bridges that are next to each other because it would limit or increase their response time. So we were very cognizant of that and worked with them, and we found a way to just stage the bridges so nothing adjacent to each other was closed, so response times weren't impacted. So that's the first season. Second season, we'll do Court Street, and then the detour will just be around to Bear. So here is kind of a nice picture that shows an example of Court Street Bridge. The green is the shared use path that's going to connect you. The bottom of the page is actually the north side. It's kind of upside down, not upside down, but it's just not oriented like you're driving north and south on 81. The blue lines are the new sidewalks that we're going to install, and then the shared use path. So one thing to notice on here is today when you go across the Court Street Bridge, the pavement's really wide. You could almost fit a couple of cars going both, 2 cars per lane. We're going to narrow that up so it's going to be 11-foot lanes and then much larger sidewalks. About 10 feet on one side of the bridge and 15 feet on the other side of the bridge. So it'll be nice for everybody that's going to use it. And that is pretty much the all the high points for what we're going to install under Contract 3 in that area.
Before we dig into maintenance jurisdiction, any questions about the elements of work? Because I know we just went through that very quickly, but
Yeah, for me, it's just out of curiosity, with the side streets taking the beating because of the detour and everything else, has there been any thought to put maybe resource and help, because city will have to later deal with that heavy traffic redirected into those streets and the beating that they will go through. Has there been any thought to maybe put resources aside to help city? Because a couple of months into it, it starts to be apparent, you know what I mean? So any resource allocated the city to have to deal with the after effect of the detour and all of those traffic being redirected into local and side streets?
so I know we used this detour in the past for past contracts. And I don't know if we've specifically spoke to our city partners about the wear and tear, I think is what you're getting at, on those roads.
Yeah, I would say there is, in the contract, there's a lot of new roads and new infrastructure that DOT is providing us with. For a lot of the gaps in that, like what you're talking about, roads that will be affected that DOT is not replacing, we've engaged, we brought before the council about a year ago strategic development specialists who are helping us develop grants to for example, Burnett is one of the roads that will experience a lot of increase in traffic, but is not included in the repair. We're trying to find other resources to cover the stuff that's not covered under the project. So while DOT, I think they're going to provide us a lot of new stuff, but for the stuff that isn't covered, we're trying to find other resources and working with NYS DOT to get that.
Betsy, just back to the basics. If in a perfect world, which believe me, I know it's not, what would the start and end date be to this contract?
So the start date is now. It's under construction, and completion date is October of 2026. So then moving on to maintenance jurisdiction, it's actually pretty straightforward. So what is the cities will remain the cities when we're done. What is the states will be the states when it's done, with just a few of the additions. So we do have a maintenance jurisdiction table in the plans. We gave it to Joe. People can take a look at it. But I think the main thing to, the North Clintons, the division streets, those are all still going to be under city maintenance jurisdiction. The ramps will be New York State DOT because those don't exist today. The bridges will be New York State DOT jurisdiction and maintenance. Things like lighting would go back to the city. We're installing it, but the lighting would be city's responsibility. So very much like it is today, there isn't much change. And with that one dig mentality, if you will, we are replacing a lot of the infrastructure underground that you don't see, like the water lines and the sewers. So hopefully you don't have to go back for a long time. So, any questions?
We're also cleaning up arguably some of the worst on-ramps on 81, right? I mean,
That's a good point.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, so, I mean, anyone that's driven on I-81 in both the northbound and southbound direction in this corridor, the canyons, right, know that there's some very closely spaced on and off ramps that make it somewhat of a dangerous corridor. So we're cleaning up, we're consolidating those ramps. So when Mike talks about moving the interchange to Bear Street, so in the southbound direction where there's the on-ramp from Ganant, that will be closed because it'll be at Bear Street now. And same on the northbound side, we're consolidating some of the ramps to make it a safer corridor for everyone.
and we'll welcome Councilor Jones-Rouser too.
You've spoken about, around Bear Street installing sidewalks. Any thoughts around bikes and stuff like that?
So the shared use path, the green one on there, that is to accommodate both bicycles and pedestrians. So we have that, we actively look to include both modes of transportation.
Yet, I can send the counselors a breakdown as well on Court and Spencer. Particularly, we're seeing a great increase in both bike and pedestrian infrastructure. So they're getting wider, they're getting safer, and we're also coordinating. We had a meeting with DPW earlier this week to, the city will be filling in gaps. For example, DOT is doing Spencer from Clinton, North Clinton to Lodi, I believe, or part of it, and then the city's taking up the rest of it and trying to develop that. Our hope is that next year, next season, we can do from there all the way to the creek walk so that there's a north-south connectivity on the bike lane, so that the city's trying to pick up what DOT is covering. We're tracking that and working with them to identify the parts they're adding bike lanes. And then the city is going to be adding to its plan the coming year to finish the connection to make sure that we have full connectivity for the north side for bikes and pedestrians.
And to add to that, one of the things we're doing related to Bear Street is we are connecting through at Van Rensselaer through Bear for the Empire State Trail. So we're making that additional enhanced connection where there already is the parking lot that you can kind of go under the Bear Street Bridge, but we're also allowing access across Bear, a safe bicycle and pedestrian access.
Which was an improvement that NYS DOT worked with the city on, which
Yes.
we're very excited about.
Yep.
I ride my bike there a lot, so I'm very happy about it.
Are we going to use any of the land that is around Spencer Solar, all that land that was Oil City, that is up for sale? Are we going to use any of those lands?
So we do have some acquisitions as part of the project that are small, little strip acquisitions of those properties, but that's just simply to build sidewalks for the most part.
Okay.
And we'll clean up if there's any contaminated soil, but nothing beyond that. The I-81 Viaduct project is not involved in anything with those
Okay.
parcels, yeah. So then moving on to our community commitments, if that's okay with everyone. The EIS obviously was a very lengthy process where we committed to doing things like air quality, noise and vibration monitoring, enhanced construction means and methods. Like, for example, the Bear Street Bridge will have a special containment system to reduce, potentially eliminate the spread of like lead paint particles and things like that. We'll also have a person who will oversee this monitoring who does not work for the contractor. So it's not, what is the saying, the rooster checking the hen house or whatever. But I think that'll be great for the community that there'll be an independent person overseeing some of those environmental type monitoring. We're also committed to starting the land use working group. Now, contract 3 we don't expect there to be any surplus land. Future contracts may have surplus land. That is something that we'll determine at the end of the project when we're complete with construction. So our goal right now is to form this working group with the stakeholders that are necessary to understand the rules and regulations that we have to follow for land use disposition. We also have a local hire incentive on all of our contracts, which we're very proud of. Thank you to the city of Syracuse and many other stakeholders. Currently, with contract 1, with the goal being 15%, and it's in Cicero, and we're hovering around 13% local hire. Contract 2, which is within the city, the Brighton, East Glen area, we're around 19 to 21% local hire for a 15% goal. Contract 3 has the 15% goal. All the contracts will have this goal. So we're putting the local community to work on this project.
What's the MWBE goal, and where are you with that?
So because this is federally funded, it's a DBE goal. And I believe the DBE goal is 8%, 8 or 9%, 8 or 9%. And the contractors are meeting it. Yeah. And last but certainly not, oh, was there a question?
Yeah, the contractors are meeting that via their.
The DBE goal.
But is that via their contract, their companies, or is there like a subcontracting?
Generally, it's through subcontractors. So for example, in one of our contracts, the DBE contractor is a guide rail contractor, so it's a subcontractor of the prime.
I want to go back to the noise side of the building. When you look at the part that you have already done over there by Loretto, right? There is a noise barrier that is installed. Will that concept be transferred to that direction as well, considering that there's neighbors and houses right there?
So that's actually a visual barrier, and that was something we committed to in the environmental study for the residents of the facility. But to answer your question more about noise barriers, so there was a really robust noise analysis that was done as part of the project, and we look at the feasibleness, the reasonableness. It's a complicated, very technical process, the noise analysis, and it was determined that noise barriers would not be beneficial in that community. They're not needed in that area of contract 3. So we will not be installing noise barriers.
In the north side area?
The north side. Okay. And really it comes down to you spend the money to do a noise barrier and no one would actually benefit from it because within a distance of the noise barrier is where the receptors benefit. The further away you get from a noise barrier, it doesn't do what I think people anticipate it would do.
And that answer might be different based on the contract, right?
Absolutely,
So, okay.
absolutely, yeah. We are installing noise barriers on other contracts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then last but not least, our continuous community engagement. So just to put on everyone's radar, we have our open house for this contract 3 on June 27th. It's at One Group, 6 to 8 p.m. But, we are going out to stakeholders, community groups, hearing from the community what their interests are, what their questions are. And we have our 2 outreach centers as well at the Hills Building and at the Tucker Church on the south side. And then, obviously we're out there. So if there's any people have any questions, absolutely send them to us. We have an email, a hotline, our website, a lot of different ways to get in touch with us.
Is the plan with the outreach to do it before the contract starts and then continue to do it while the project is going on?
Yes.
Okay. Because I think that's when we get most of the public pushback is when it's actually happening. So it's
Right.
Yeah, I would say, just if I could chime in, that the NYS DOT has provided a great resource with the outreach centers. Those are open, what are the hours, like 10 to?
So it's Monday through Friday. At the Hills Building, it's 10 to 4, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. At Tucker, it's 2 to 6 on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, so most days there's a place you can go and talk to someone on the team to get more information. So if you're getting constituents saying, what's going on with this, what's going on with that, and you want a quick answer, the outreach centers are always, every day of the week, there's somebody from NYS DOT sitting nearby in the city ready to answer questions, however in-depth people want to get. So it's a great resource that I think people should use more.
Has there been any, have you guys identified any issues why the contractors aren't able to get some of those contracts for themselves versus subcontracting? Like, is it capacity, is it equipment, insurance?
Specific to
make sure that not only are they meeting the goal that they've prescribed to us, so part of their bid documents is we can meet your 8 to 9%. As we go along, we should see, are they meeting that, and then push back on them. All right, you should be using a TV here. You said you were going to use it on this particular item. You should be using them there, and so on. So it's a constant conversation.
So far, there's a compliance.
So far, they are in compliance, yes, so far.
Agree.
Well, I mean, I know that the conversation has been had about the, even the, verbiage of DBE
Yeah.
possibly being looked at again and, maybe changed through legislation to, strengthen that up a little bit. So that's another conversation.
Anybody have any more questions?
I just want one more question, or Counselor Jones-Rouser. So we all do competitive bidding? So we do competitive bidding, it's out there in the public, once, and then we are enforcing, our laws pertaining to all minority hiring. We're doing all of that. Everything's in check.
Yes.
Okay. I have no other questions unless you want to respond to any of ours. Okay. Thank you.
All right, we're good. Thank you very much. Right to you. I get your personal cell phone.